presence? Is it words of affirmation? Is it touch? Is it quality time? Those are the 5 love languages, okay? But what else?
I don't mean to cut
Mhm.
you off, but you
Yeah, I'm
made
sorry.
mention of something that I just started trying. You said one of these things that you were just suggesting right now was also, since we are kind of like, obviously tall in height, it doesn't matter how tall you are as an adult, you're still going to be taller than your toddler, right? You have to go down to their size. If you have to sit down, kneel down, whatever you have to do, and then go on the eye level and then talk to the kid, ask for their needs, why they're crying, what do they need, and then try to see if you can provide that. That was a special type
Yeah.
of connection that you said. I have tried it. I want to
Mhm.
testify to that. It works.
Oh,
For
and I
whatever the
suggested
reason, I
that?
don't know how. Yeah, you said that in one of the conversations that you were having. I've been watching a lot of your conversations, and you said that, and
Sometimes
I was
things
like,
just
oh,
I've been doing this for so
I,
long, I'm not sure when I say what,
yeah, I can't really remember exactly what the conversation was, but you said something like, I was like, okay, let me try that. I have my son. He's about to turn 2 in January, this January
Okay, so he's small.
20th. So he's smaller. So I go
Yeah.
down to his. He does something, and his mom's like, I can't believe he did that. He has this really like fascination with water now. Thank
Okay.
God it's not fire, but he's got this fascination with water where he sees any water bottle sitting down, whatever, he's just gonna open it up, pour it on himself, and just sit down. I don't know if he just likes the feeling of being cold, whatever,
Yeah.
but he's been doing that. And a few days ago, he did that. And when I saw him, I did nothing, said nothing. I just went down. And then he just started saying a few words. And I was like,
Mhm.
why would you do that? Like,
Mhm.
I went down to his face. Like, well, and then for the first 2 minutes, he didn't want to look back in my face at all. So I kept going wherever his face was. And then
Mhm.
when we finally locked eyes, I was like, why would you do that? And I could see that his facial reaction all of a sudden changed. So like he felt bad, and I was like, oh, maybe my approach was wrong, So I started singing one of his most favorite daycare songs, and then he started like smiling and acting. I was like, so when he started coming back to himself again, I was like, don't do that, okay? It's water. Don't put it on yourself. And
Right?
then kind of like he was jiggling and jiggling about it, the whole thing. But I could see from that time onwards, he takes the water, and then he sees me coming, he just hands it back to me. Instead
Okay.
of pouring it back on himself, he's handing it back to me now.
Mhm.
So you are kind of that approach is kind of I don't know, it's magical. I want to say it's
Isn't that
almost
interesting? And I
magical.
got that from watching
Yeah,
some
it
other
works.
YouTube video, by somebody.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't come
works.
up with that on my
It really
own.
works.
But you know what else I
Yeah, it
could
really
have
works that
done?
way.
What could happen? You got down on his level. He might have been pouring water on himself for attention. I need to be seen. It's all subconscious,
True.
right? They don't know that
Yeah.
he's 2 years old. He's not even self-aware, anything like that at this point. So he
Yeah.
might have just felt a need to be acknowledged or seen. And by getting down on his level and really making the effort, even when he was, not looking, to really connect with him, maybe then he felt seen. He felt understood. He was getting the attention, like, oh, my daddy's paying attention to me. I must matter. I must have value. He must love
Yeah.
me. It could be that simple, because it's a behavior. And, I truly believe that most every behavior is rooted in these basic needs, the 5 physical and 1 emotional. And we need to be seen and heard. We need to be understood. So the other things that I would say is, as much as possible, try to acknowledge and, even more importantly, validate another person's feelings or emotions. It doesn't mean you
Yeah.
agree with them. It doesn't mean you like them or accept them, but you're validating because that's the feeling or emotion that that person is having. And when we can validate someone's emotion, they feel heard and understood, which again lets them know that they matter. They're worth being heard and understood. They have value, and value translates to love, and love is that need. So acknowledging and validating, this takes a lot of practice, especially because most people in the world have never really experienced it. When I
Yeah.
validate my parents at this age, they're like a deer in headlights. Like they don't even know what's happening. They like it. It feels good, but they're so unaccustomed to having their feelings acknowledged and validated that they're like, "Oh, oh, okay, well, oh." And it can get them to stop talking because I talk a lot too. But sometimes we talk a lot to be heard. But once you
Yeah.
validate someone, they feel heard. They don't have to talk anymore. So it's a really easy way to get my parents to stop talking without breathing. And then the last thing that I'll
Yeah.
say is whenever you're interacting with anybody, especially your kids, do everything possible to never shame, judge, degrade, or emotionally neglect. So if they're crying, don't say stop crying. It's not a big deal. You don't need to cry about that. It's no big deal. It's just you just spilt your milk. Who cares? It's nothing. That's completely emotional neglect. If someone's crying,
Wow.
what we can say, this is all like newborns, right when they're born, right? Instead of saying shh, shh, you're okay, which one you're telling them don't emote because you're shushing them. Don't emote. Don't express that feeling. And two, insult to injury, we shush them to say stop, which is saying that this behavior is wrong, and you're telling them to do another behavior. That's the behavior they need to do. Now I understand shh can also be soothing, so just make sure that's the message that's coming through. But when we tell a child don't cry, it's not a big deal. That's emotional neglect, and that hurts. That's trauma. So what we could be saying is instead of shh, shh, you're okay, right? Telling them they're okay when they're not okay, we can say, I hear you. I'm here for you. That's how we can engage a little baby or anybody who's crying. I hear you. I'm here for you. I'm not going anywhere just because you're crying. That's not a bad behavior. But what do we do with kids? We leave them in their crib and we say, oh, let them cry themselves to sleep. That's trauma. And that really messes a person up. And then we wonder why they become, have an eating disorder or drugs and alcohol or whatever.
Wow. Wow. Well, time is of the essence here. I don't really take so much of your time, like I promised. But this has been a really interesting conversation. We could go on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember there was this motivational speaker. I listen to motivational speakers a lot. I can't remember
Hmm.
which one it is, but he said that there was a project that he embarked on and gone to schools talking to kids. And one of the things he said that was really funny to me in the end was he told the kids to write on paper how they feel if their parents say they're doing a bad deed, right? If they're not happy with what their parents did or their parents' action, and
Hmm.
almost one third of the kids wrote down suicide. And then he says, interesting enough, after they wrote suicide as the number one item, they wrote what they're gonna do after. And then he was like, how are you going to be able to do what's next that you wrote in that list? You have to write 10 things on the list.
Hmm.
You're committing suicide right now. How do you do the rest of the nine? It was at first it was funny, right? But
Right.
then I gave it a little bit of thought, thinking to myself, from my background, where I came from, the origination and everything, and how I was raised, I could have been this kid too, because I did think of that.
Hmm.
When I was like 16 years old, I thought of that because one kid I was just telling to, because I'm currently actually in therapy right now, seeking counseling and stuff like that
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
of what I had to go through when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
want to do everything possible to get rid of what it is that's holding me back, because I feel like there's a weight on my shoulder that I need to get up.
Yeah.
One of the kids in the neighborhood committed suicide by hanging himself. I didn't know how he came about that, but one of the adults, like words are powerful. He said, "Oh, that poor kid. I hope he's in a better place." Words has meanings, and words are powerful. And then sometimes, like I always tell my wife, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. When I
Mm-hmm.
heard that, I was like, oh, if there's a peace of mind somewhere, maybe I should join the kid too. I'll find my peace of mind.
Right?
I look for a rope. I look for a tree. I was
Mm-hmm.
about to do it, and this lady, it was the back of her house. That's where the tree was. I'll never forget this.
Mm.
Coincidentally, she was coming out. I don't know what she was doing, but she came out there and she was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm going to get the peace of mind. And then she was like, calm down. Took the rope, took me to her house, fed
Mm-hmm.
me, asked me why I was doing that. And I was like, well, my mom is not here. My dad is not here. And that kid has similar situation as what I have.
Yeah.
And when I heard that he hacked himself the other day, somebody said, at least he's in a better place. I wanted to get that better place myself.
Right.
Simple.
Right. He's in pain,
Many,
and you
many,
don't
many
want that
years.
pain anymore either.
Yes. Many, many, many years. Looking back, I've been looking for that woman. I think one of my I have a sister back in Ghana that I had her look for her and
Mm-hmm.
found her recently. And
Oh,
I just wanted to say thank her. Yeah. For just
yeah. I
that.
mean,
She's
she saved your
her
life,
kids
you
are
know?
older too. Yeah. I
She
was like,
took
thank her
she
so much for that
she
day.
paid attention and let you know that you matter, that you are
Yeah,
valuable.
and just like you said, she said, anytime you're hungry, and I was hungry too. Part of the reason I was like, I was always hungry. You know, my
Yeah.
parents got separated when I was back then, and my dad got married, and then my dad had like different houses around town, so we were living in one of the houses. He would just come every now and then, just like you said. He would pop up whenever he wanted, and it's like my mom was not there as well too, so it was just like, okay,
Yeah.
well, peace of mind, here I come,
So who cares about
stuff like
me?
that.
Does
Who
anybody
cares
care
about
about
me?
me?
Who cares about me was the biggest question,
Yeah.
and it still has been even as I got older. Now I don't need anybody to kind of like baby me anymore and stuff like that. But it still hurt,
Not to
like you said.
baby
It
you.
doesn't go away,
Right.
right?
But you
It
still need
doesn't go
connection because
away.
you're a human being.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
you're a
It
mammal.
doesn't go away. Right, right. It
Right?
doesn't
We
go
all
away.
need that love and connection.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Kevin. I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking time out of your business. I know you're really busy. You're always having a conversation somewhere or
My
doing other
pleasure.
stuff, helping people out, and then taking this time out to come and talk to us. A Fact of Life is my podcast name. If you, when I post this episode, you definitely would know.
Oh
But
yeah, please.
thank you for taking time. Thank you for taking time to come on Fact of Life. I do appreciate you. And do you have any words to tell the listeners at all
Well, thank you
before
so
we
much,
depart?
and thank you for your questions. I love your questions, and it's my pleasure to be in this share this space with you, and hopefully some of what I shared resonated. Some of your stories, hopefully they resonate with people. If I could just do a shameless plug for the Uchi app, that's the last
Oh
thing I'd
yes,
say
yes.
in terms of
I'm gonna share that.
connecting.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, it's so hard for people to really have conversations, and the written word is so incredibly powerful. That's why I created the Uchi app, and it's free. It's available globally in English. Um, and it's a way that improves communication, it improves connection, it strengthens relationships, which then drives better behaviors. And it's very safe, very private. It's not a social media. There's nothing
I
public
was about
about
to
it.
say that.
It's not a
Yep.
social media, but it is a social platform because you use it with your uchi, because uchi in Japanese means in group or inner circle. So you use it with your people, and all you do is answer questions and read each other's answers, and that's how you connect more. And by connecting on some of these little, but there are also hard questions in there too, but by connecting, the more we connect, the closer we feel, and the happier we are, and the better our world.
And the better our world. Thank you so much, Kevin. Yes, I have personally signed up for the Uchi platform. I actually did it this afternoon. I haven't played around with it a little bit too much. I read about it when you actually first sent me the link. It looks like something that I really interesting. And one of the things that I actually liked is how you kind of like quote unquote said this is not for like social media. You know, social media
Yeah.
nowadays is becoming a little bit difficult to use because it's you would say something the way you feel, the way you understand the world to be, and then somebody else just comes out of nowhere to
Mm-hmm.
attack you, and the whole thing becomes a whole conversation. It's beginning to not becoming pleasant anymore. So
Right.
we are pretty lucky, I would say, to have the opportunity to have something like this that you have initiated. I'm gonna share this in the link wherever I
Mm-hmm.
post it. It's gonna be on our platform on YouTube,
Yeah.
with the Uchi connection and the Uchi.com.
Mm-hmm.
UchiConnection.com as well.
Right.
I'm gonna share it in the link below as well. I'll share it on the podcast and the YouTube. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Kevin. Thank you
Yeah.
so
Thank you
much,
so much.
and we'll catch you next time.